cable company refused to complete my cable installation unless I let them install their horrible bloatware on my PC. This happened circa 2010, so maybe their corporate practice has changed. But perhaps not. I moved to a new address, and duly called up the only cable provider in the area. They sent out a guy in a van to install my cable internet service. Before he left, he said he had to install their proprietary software on one of my PCs. Otherwise they wouldn't let him close out the ticket. Fortunately, I had prepared for this. I have many PCs and computers, all running the relevant Windows or Apple OS, but I kept one special computer running Linux. I ushered the tech to this computer and said, "This is the only one I have right now, I'm afraid." He worked on it for about 5 minutes and then gave up. "I got a personal laptop in my van," he said. "I'll just install the Comcast thing on that and we'll call it a day, okay?" "Okay by me, service guy." "Okay by me." Now to the comments. I remember when they did this crap a few years after I moved into a new place and they didn't do it anymore. When they did do it, I had handed them a Linux laptop which confused the crap out of them. They insisted it had to be a Windows machine, so I told him I was going to reboot into Windows. What I actually did was just load a VM of Windows. He installed the crapware. After I switched to the desktop and deleted the VM right in front of him, he was annoyed, not because of what I did, but realizing how pointless and how much of a waste of time it was. But he was required. Right in front of him. The poor guy. This must be what NPCs feel when you get a reward and then disenchant it right in front of them. I'm required to install this on your computer. I don't have one. Why are you having internet setup then? Are you calling me a liar? Smartphones, tablets, networked thermostats, etc. don't need a computer to want internet. Just be thankful he didn't install Wine to get it to run. Just tell him you don't know the root password, not much he can do in front of you that you can't just revert. Just remove your sudo privileges and tell him that your cousin set it up and keep telling there is no password. That is really odd, you're here to install my Wi-Fi. No way am I going to let you install shit on my PC. What did the proprietary software even do? Sounds like shit. Internet and TV services, ISPs, have effectively split the nation up into chunks and distributed themselves accordingly. So, in many areas, one ISP has a sort of monopoly. Either that or everyone else in the area can't compete. So, they are the mafia. This is exactly why I buy my own modem and router. Haven't had to rent crap or have anyone come out to install anything for years. I do this too. But it doesn't stop Comcast from periodically adding the modem rental charge back to my bill. It's happened to me 4 times in the past 8 years or so. They always refund it, but only after an odyssey of customer service calls, and I'm sure there are many people who simply never notice, which is exactly what they want. If you have an owned modem, always check your bill. That's systematic fraud. And they're begging for a class action lawsuit. I wish people would organize against this sort of unethical behavior. In the early days of ADSL, in a different country my telco refused to support Linux, so my solution when activating my new account was to have the installer use their own laptop to connect to the internet with my credentials. 5 hours later he was able to pack up and sign off. Turns out that the telco had forgotten to actually create my account and log in. I'm just grateful that it wasn't my problem to solve. Once he was finished, he stayed to watch me edit the PPP config file with my credentials and saw it connect within 30 seconds. He vowed to download a copy of Linux to try it for himself. My old ISP screwed up the deactivation date for my move to a new ISP, and shut off the connection a week early. They blocked all traffic, and pushed out a new DHCP lease that stuck me on a private subnet with a DNS server that answered all requests with the IP of an internal web server that in turn answered all requests with a "this account has been deactivated" page. I called to complain and they updated stuff on their end. I got a new DHCP lease with an external address again, and a bunch of stuff started working. However, web browsing by hostname failed with the same account deactivate page. The tech was stumped, so I did some troubleshooting of my own, explaining what I was doing as I went. Turns out I was getting a new lease, but they were still pushing their redirecting name server. I just set my system to ignore DNS servers from DHCP, problem solved. The kicker. The tech finished off the call with "Thanks for the call today. I learned a lot." Before he left, he said he had to install proprietary software on one of my PCs. Nope. Otherwise, they wouldn't let him close out the ticket. I can live with that. The last 3 times I've had internet connected, which oddly went fiber then cable then DSL, I didn't have any computers available. I was moving into new places and I always turned on all utilities right away. I would confirm connection over Wi-Fi with my phone.